Okay.
Oh, Todd.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just had this impromptu, this idea, spontaneous thing, and I try to find a divine masculine and a divine feminine who've been writing really good stuff, and I went right to my phone, and both y'all popped up. So I figured, hey, let's have a discussion. Plus, I want to hear about this whole F it philosophy, the fuck it philosophy.
Excellent.
You've been putting some great stuff out, man.
Thanks, Todd. Thank you. Yeah, it just seems to be coming through at the minute.
You've been putting in a lot of time. You've been doing a lot of processing inside yourself. It seems like.
Yeah, it's been a bit full on, huh?
Yeah, isn't it? That's what I wanted to capture tonight. I wanted to capture what's been going on, man. God, these last few days.
Yeah.
Wow. Hell, I slept almost 15 hours today. And I'm in Sedona. I went to bed at about 1 o'clock. I got up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I'm so jealous, Todd.
Right.
How do you manage that? Sleep just seems to be like, what's sleep like? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's how I was for a few days. But I just wanted to capture what's been going on at, different levels, I mean, different perspectives. So, yeah, I don't know. What's it been like for you? I hadn't talked to you. It's been a few weeks. I mean, September was a lot of stuff went on, but it seemed a little smoother. These first few days of October have been tough.
Yeah, certainly. So the equinox full moon seemed to be a real sort of like watershed mark. Yeah, just an awful lot of I suppose primarily what I've noticed is the sort of physical and emotional stuff, like, just certain times in the day, just suddenly just feeling like being hit with this wave of energy and just feeling like I just need to lie on my back or something. I'm feeling really low, and then not too long later, it's shifted, it's gone, and yes. Are we live now?
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, I thought we probably were. Yeah.
you know how we roll, but it captures the real stuff, though, man.
Yeah.
I still believe that our most powerful activations do not come from download transmissions or channelings from the galactic or divine essences or angelic. They come from each other. So I was trying to find a space tonight with the radio show, and I had a couple of technical difficulties, and I just didn't feel it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to just pop on and do a show and do a roundtable show and see if I can get some people in. And then I saw you and Karen, and I thought, you know what? I'll just invite them on. We'll get it started like this.
Well done, Todd. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and it's it's total chance that I'm about right now. Really well. There's no chance stuff. I've just been doing another radio show with Kathy Bilski.
Yeah.
And,
today.
So that's why I got up at 4:30. So I've been up for a little while. It's kind of like the middle of the night. I mean, it's 6:30 now, but it's kind of feels like the middle of the night, really. And it's like, let's go from one straight to the next. I'm warmed up now,
Oh, wait, there's Karen. Hang on. Yeah, you're warmed up. Okay, so we got a good mix here. Hello, Karen.
Hey, Toddy.
Can you see Miguel?
Hey, Miguel. Yeah, I can see both.
So we are representing.
Thanks for the 5 minutes notice. I literally walked in the door, sat down, and there's this message from Toddy. What are you doing? And I'm thinking, how shall I answer that? And he's like, I'm doing a show in 15 minutes. Are you going to be on?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, thank you for coming. Both of you for coming. Both of you have been writing some incredible stuff in the last few weeks, especially the last 10 days, And I just wanted to get, I was just saying to Miguel that to me, the most powerful activations come from each other more than any channeling or transmission download. And both of y'all write in that manner to me. Both of y'all write about the human soul hybrid in transition, and both of y'all put out a lot of good stuff. I don't know. I figured, you know what? We get a divine feminine in here and a divine masculine. I asked Miguel how it's been for him the last few days, and he just shook his head. How about you? Has it been ease and grace for you, Karen, or has it been tough?
No, it's all good. I'm really riding these energies well, and just flying higher and higher. Basically, I know I've done the groundwork, and I'm making good choices. And I mean, it might come later. I mean, I'm not saying it's always this way, but last few days are just like really powering, really powerful. Just flying, basically, just making really good choices and seeing things in a new way and just choosing love, basically. And that's what takes it up. Flying,
You're in a love bubble. You're in a love bubble. She's not doing it.
Makes it easier.
Miguel said that it's the waves have come in strong emotionally and physically. Sometimes he's had to lay down. Have you had any issues physically, like with just being tired and having a rest?
Look, occasionally, I will lie down, but I'm really grounded, so the energies don't seem to affect me too much physically. I mean, I do sleep well when I sleep, and there have been the odd night, not lately, but when maybe I'm awake all night. So it's on some level they do have an effect, but nothing that really distracts me from my everyday stuff.
You're no fun. Juicy. Look, Miguel, you said you've had some emotional impact too, and you've written about it, which is brave. You want to elaborate on that?
I can never really remember, to be honest, very much, Todd, what I've written. It's kind of like it's a bit like, on the Facebook feed, by the time it's sort of like a day's gone and it's moved down, it's like it's gone from my awareness. But the thing that comes up when you talk about the emotional stuff was, just some aspects of fear. It felt sort of, particularly around the equinox full moon, there was a big, just all this fear came up, and there was nothing that I could pin it to. It was just, I think I described it as, it's just like an inner child fear, like scared of the dark or scared of the not known. There was a bit of a kind of, whoa, what is going down here? Like, there was a bit of that came up. The mind's, the mind's been interesting to watch, because it's certainly bringing up lots of kind of like trying to sabotage, what are you doing? Have you lost the plot here? Like, is this really what you're doing? And did you really make that decision and stuff like that? So there's been a bit of that stuff coming up as well, and just having to really, just ground and come back to center and just go, it's okay. I'm just,
you
just
look
learning
you look like you've been through what I've been through, or whatever that is. So
it must be a masculine thing. The masculine energy is coming up too.
Oh no,
I mean, I've got those too. So it's probably the aspects of me that came up were more on my masculine side to deal with. So
that's a good point. I was going to bring up what some people have talked about, and I've observed a couple of my friends here that are female that are going through the same thing. And what I'm seeing is, and even talking to Morgan and reading other people's stuff, it has to do with what Miguel's talking about. Maybe you can elaborate on this, Karen. In regard to self-judgment, self-consciousness, second-guessing ourselves. I don't want to describe the masculine energy as being the ego energy, but there is that false masculine energy that we all have within us that's been empowered and is being disempowered. And I wonder if it's that voice going away and our real voice speaking up. Have you had any issues, Karen, with self-judgment, self-consciousness?
I think it was where I was still placing control on myself, which again is a masculine energy. So ways where I wasn't allowing myself to love fully, I had to look into where there was still some control energy around that. And so, that could well be it. Self-judgment, I've come such a long way from where I was. I go pretty easy on myself now. I just have to look how far I've come to know that I'm in a good place, and just look at the life I'm creating, to know that that's always my feedback of, you know, what life am I experiencing as to, you know, where I am on my own spiritual journey. So self-judgment, I'm pretty good on that. I'm kind to myself. I think maybe the men are a bit tougher on themselves in some aspects, you know. So self-judgment, the same, you know, I just see it in the eyes of love and just see where I can, you know, make a better choice, and, you know, slowly up the ante. And, you know, I'm always one for accepting the challenge. You know, like I could have said no you know, to come on this show. You know, you got me, it was like bam, and I'm like, no, I will accept that challenge and, you know, keep pushing myself. So yeah, it's you know, we've got to be kind to ourselves, and look how far we've come. You know, and just day by day, live in the moment, and just, you know, have a look at what we're experiencing this now moment, and just, you know, make kind choices for ourselves and self-honor ourselves. You know, it's always that borderline between unconditional love and self-honor, which a lot of us have to push the boundaries of to discover what it is, you know, where that actual boundary is between. And I always say self-honor has to override unconditional love. So, you know, that's also an area that I think we all need to explore for ourselves.
Interesting. Miguel's been putting out some stuff. What's it entitled? And Miguel, what's the little series entitled? I know it has the F word in it.
Oh yeah, fucking the system with love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that's how we're going to rise above it. Yeah.
That when she was saying that, that's what came to mind, because it's like there seems to be again this divide, this split, and it's in us, and it's like this whole thing where we're not honoring ourselves. We're basically saying, "Fuck it," you know. I'm going to choose myself. Is this what you've been writing on in those series that you've been coming out with?
Yeah,
the videos.
Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of that, of just allowing myself to just be fully myself, just even in the title, like, you know, because I really quite like the fuck word, you know, and I do use it quite a lot. And I guess there are different levels, really, you know. Yeah, fucking the system with love is, yeah, you know, it's love that does dismantle, isn't it? Love dissolves. Love is the tool, really. Is the weapon isn't the right word. It makes it sound a bit warlike, but it's all about love, and it's all about the system can't stand, and it can't. It's like all that effort that is needed to maintain the false and so on. It's like it's just like the warmth of love melting a big piece of ice or something, like, you know what I mean. And then what is revealed is love. There's nothing else that we need to do. And there are, you know, like Rumi's saying, you know, there are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. There are hundreds of ways to fuck the system with love, you know, and whether that's through music or through our talks or our interviews or radio shows or dance or art or, you know, there's so many different ways that we can do that. And, yeah, you know, I guess there's a bit of the fuck it for me is a bit of a sort of primal, wild energy as well. Like, you know, there was a rewilding that began to take place for me a few years ago when I kind of like thought, fuck it, yeah, you know, we men, we're so domesticated, like, you know what I mean? Where's the wild? Where's the where's that primal energy?
We love that.
So, Miguel, I know you've done a lot of work. You know, you've been on the show. Somebody just mentioned they love your writings. I know you're very sensitive and in tune with the divine feminine. To Karen's point a minute ago, I mean, for you, has the last few weeks or even the last couple of weeks, has it been more of a test of your masculine, the masculine side of you than it has been the feminine, or has it even been noticeable?
I guess what the theme that has been coming up for me is it feels like there is so much love in my life at the moment, and I'm feeling like I'm really surrounded by love. But there's still this wall, maybe more of a masculine wall, that are protecting, if you like, my heart or something. That, you know, that and the love is dissolving that, you know. It's like just stepping deeper and deeper into the love, and as that dissolves, there's some of that pain and sadness is felt and experienced, you know, from past stuff.
I told Morgan today that I felt like my human was dying. Parts of my human was dying.
Yeah.
Now, Karen, you with your male friends, have you noticed any
friends? Plural?
with your male friend or friends, have they struggled? Have you noticed anything in the men? Or the man?
Like some big secret. Look, I'm not going to speak for him. He can come on and do his own show. So you know, it's not my place to speak for Jason. So you know, you got to ask him that stuff. I was interested what you were saying about fucking the system with love, and it reminded me when I came into sort of awareness, and you know, I was a pretty strong activist. I was, you know, on Facebook as anonymous, you know, under the anonymous movement and all this stuff, and I realized, and it took me a couple of years to realize that by focusing on what I didn't want, I was actually implementing that and reinforcing the system. See, the system doesn't care if you're for it or against it. As long as it's got your energy, you're reinforcing the system. And the same, you know, with any politics or corporations or anything that you are anti, they're happy because you're still your focus is still on them. And then I realized, you know, once I started coming into the love vibration, the only way I could actually make a difference was to focus on the love instead of focusing on the system. And that way, energetically, we out-vibe them. You know, we're rising up above the frequency band of the matrix and into the love frequency. And slowly, literally, they fade away. And, you know, it's non-existent in my life. Yeah. You know, once you turn off the television and you know, you actually don't focus on what's going. I mean, occasionally, you know, I'll be driving in the car and I'll put the radio on and I literally think, oh, I wonder what's going on in the third dimension, you know, and I listen to the news and I turn it off halfway through. But, you know, it's literally, you just detach from it and live in your love world. And it, you know, it's like, you know, the quantum mechanics, whatever your awareness is on, you bring into your reality. So you can literally out-vibe it by, you know, choosing a higher vibration to embody.
I haven't noticed you discussing quantum sense until just a few weeks ago. That's an inside joke. So Miguel. but no, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to just throw this one at Miguel because I was just turned down temporarily for a passport. I have other matrix rules and regulations and lawless laws that I'm not anti. I just don't consider them in my energy field. And I do send love to it. And I do go through these exercises of just accepting it and integrating it as part of me, and even transmuting and transforming as a result of that love. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, Miguel?
Well, yeah, it's strange. There do seem to be these kind of human laws, and then there are the sort of higher laws, if you like. And yeah, the human stuff, it does seem to be less and less a part of my reality, really. You know, we still sort of have to move through it and navigate it. But I really like, there's a lot, I think it's a Bob Dylan song where he said, you know, to live outside the law, you must be honest.
Yeah.
And I really like that, you know, and that's, for me, that's about integrity and not just following what, you know, the because it's the law, then it must be okay, and that we do it. But there's that, I guess it started, you know, in my New Age traveling days when I was a bit anarchistic and so on. It was like, yeah, we didn't have, you know, car insurance and stuff like that. You know, we just kind of like did our own thing, but you tended to get hammered quite severely for that. Yeah. So I think it is, just about increasingly living from what I call, you know, my internal compass, my own integrity, what feels true and what feels in alignment to me. rather than rather than the external stuff. And I do the same as Karen. It was funny hearing Karen say that occasionally when I'm driving. It's only when I'm driving I'll turn the radio on. It's like, oh, it's at 4 o'clock or whatever, the news will be on, so I'll turn it on, and it's like, yeah, invariably if I can manage like 2 minutes, I've done really well. I just go, one day I'm going to turn it on, there's going to be something that vaguely interests me, but it's just like increasingly it just becomes a whole other reality. And I guess that's what's happening more as well for me, is that there's this blurring between, it's almost like the veil is getting thinner, between this dimension and the other dimensions. I mean, even when I'm just like looking at nature, or sometimes I'm walking, I'm just looking at my hands and going, wow, are they really my fucking hands? They look really weird and that, and the edges of the leaves and the the space between, there's not such a defined edge anymore, and I think that's happening on so many different levels.
I think so. It's been happening to me. I know other people it's been happening to. I had a big one happen to me last night. I was on the phone with Morgan, a big one, which was where like the stars, I was looking at the stars because I'm up on the top of a hill, and I'm looking at it, and it was like I went from 6'2" to 62 feet. And all of a sudden the ceiling was right there. And it looked so fake, like an overlay. And then I could see all these waves, and it was like I could see an ocean on the other side of the cosmos. So right. I don't know what that was. And I saw trees moving last night. I saw a lot of stuff flying around in the air and just different energies. I think you're right. I think it is getting to the point where what's really there is showing itself. And on that note, I don't watch the global stage. I don't pay attention to a lot of that stuff. I stay in my own little circle. But there is a lot of talk now about these indictments. And we don't talk a lot of this stuff on Soulogy. But I think it's relevant for one reason, and that is because there seems to be, whether it's the physical or the etherical or in the personal and the internal or the external, the truth is rising. And so this isn't about right or wrong or nothing like that. It's just about what's really real coming out. These indictments seem to be coming to a head. A lot of people are writing about it. A lot of people are talking about it. I'm not really concerned about who goes here, who goes where, who goes to jail, who was this and who was that. I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of disclosure coming out on the global level. And the reason I bring it up is because I think people like us and people that are listening are here to anchor this love, as a lot of people out there will freak out. And if you've noticed the last few days, a lot of people have been freaking out just based on this hearing they're having in the Senate and just different things going on in the world. What are your views, Karen, on what our role is, and what are your thoughts on that? With all that being said.
Yeah, I only know of it because, I've seen a few posts of Rick and Magenta Pixie, so that's all the knowledge really I've got of it. Look, I believe, and, I was told this by one of my healers also, that, obviously when the majority of the population wakes up to the human atrocities that have taken place, they're going to need a bit of anchoring. I think that was the word you used. So, everything happens in divine order, and, everyone is programmed to wake up at perfect timing for a situation. We've all got a job to do. We've all come from a tough situation. We're all, from what I can see of the light workers, we're all born into a low, dense vibration, and we've had to work our way up. So we've got real life experience to be able to help anyone who, does come to us seeking light. We've all got a journey. We've all had a journey. We've all got our own story to tell. We've all got our gifts, whether we're expressing it in music or writing or speech or, however, we've all got our unique little niche, and there'll be different people that are drawn to all of us. And also what Rick's been putting out about service to self, service to others instead of service to self. If you look at the timing of that, that's come out, really predominantly in the last week. And a lot of us are shifting into that paradigm because in anticipation of this, lot of people that, you know, could, you know, need a bit of guidance, and, you know, we're here willing and waiting, ready to help wherever we can.
Yeah. What do you think, Miguel?
Well, that's my personal perspective anyway.
I agree. I align with that. What do you think, Miguel?
I'm afraid I can't really comment on this because I just don't know enough about it. You know, I think I did hear 30 seconds on the radio when I was driving at one point. It was one of those things that I just turned off. But my sense is, you know, it's about this masculine and feminine. Yeah, essentially, you know, if we just like go down deeper, and this seems to be, you know, the wounding and the false in the masculine and feminine, which is as you say, is coming to the surface. And, you know, I can only speak generally, so it's always a blessing, isn't it, when stuff, you know, that's the first step often, is for stuff to be talked about and to be seen. And if you can imagine just how much discussion and awareness that is bringing, you know, to people, and just revealing, yeah, how deep this stuff goes. It just seems to be so fundamental, this ending the war between the masculine and feminine. It's like, it's just crazy, you know, that we're not, that we could be, that there is this incredible, beautiful, divine love, you know, between man and woman, and all the levels, the inner masculine, the inner feminine, and it's all that moving away from duality back to oneness, you know, bringing us home, you know. But it's such a key piece. Is, you know, as you know, it's just really the last few months that this is. Yeah. I can't not talk about it anymore, and I can't not write about it. It's just coming through more and more, and it's you know, this stuff around the masculine and feminine, it is really on the tip of our awareness, and as I said, yeah, it's such a big, important, and beautiful piece. Yeah, Karen, so go on.
Very
yeah, I'm just going to cut in there. While I was listening to Miguel, I saw the obvious parallel between what we were talking about earlier on an individual level, how, you know, we've been letting go of our masculine control to embody more love. And now what you were saying, Miguel, is we can see it happening on the global scale. So this is where, you know, the energies, whatever we're doing on an individual level, is always playing out in a greater reality, as within, so without, as above, so below. So, you know, that was pretty interesting to hear. You pretty much described exactly the same thing as we were describing, you know, as earlier that we were going through individually.
Yeah. And so I'll reframe that question that I had to Miguel, and just say it would only make sense if on the collective is mirroring what we're going through. So would there be, I mean, it would only make sense that there would be a huge amount of disclosure coming out, because the truth is coming out. So if it comes out at a collective level, Miguel, and I know you've been out there doing this for a long time, do you think that this is our mission? Is this a big part of our mission, having come down here, who we are, whatever you want to call it, star seeds, blue rays, whatever, to hold space through a chaotic period that, for all intents and purposes, has been prophesized for thousands of years?
Yeah, undoubtedly so. That's why we're here. That's exactly what it's all about. Yeah. I don't think I've got anything more to say about that, but yeah, it's becoming, and I think that's part of what's been happening. I guess he says, wandering off again. I haven't just said he's got nothing else to say. There is something else to say, and that's connected to that, to the fear. You know, I think it feels a bit like, you know, like when a dog is cornered and its heckles will go up and it will become vicious, and that it feels a bit like that's what's happening with the ego. The ego is kind of like, it's kind of cornered, and it's kind of like just sort of trying to bring up all the, you know, anything that it can to sort of like defend itself and go, no, hey, you know, this is real, and you're just losing the plot and that. But there's more and more, you know, it's just increasingly living from a different place, and living from this space of, this is what I am here for. Yeah, I need to go through the human motions, and, you know, go to get the groceries and pay the bills and make sure that my son's got something to eat and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, it just, I don't know, maybe in the 90% now, this is what every moment of every day is actually about.
Yeah. So Karen, so
can I just say also,
yeah.
those of us, like us, we're already embodying the vibration of love, which is, on the emotional frequency scale, joy, love, peace are the highest frequencies. When this disclosure comes out, pretty much all those that aren't awake are going to go into the sense of fear. If they're not, I mean, they already are, but now it's going to be chaotic and fear. So, of course, we had to come through first and, literally keep the vibration high on the planet. And, with the human frequency coming through, that's going to also push them through. But, I think it's also got a lot to do with balancing energies, continuing to feed the grid. So, on an energetic scale that, we're anchoring love into Gaia.
Yeah. I think another thing too, I would like to ask y'all about is, I don't know much about your daily life, Miguel. I know a little bit about Karen's because we've been friends for quite a while. But it seems like this little, like Miguel was saying a minute ago, we still got to go do these 3D things. But I know, Karen, your life is going to teach yoga, and it's at the beach, and you're writing and that type of thing. It's like your little universe. You're protecting it. You're holding it true, and you're just not letting that outside stuff get in. Is that a good description of your daily life?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't teach yoga. I just do a lot of it. Pretty much like, I really feel disconnected from the matrix, from the 3D world. I don't even, it's really weird, but I don't even focus on how money comes in and out. I'm just always provided for. I'm just always like, it just seems like the food in the house, even though I've got 2 teenage sons and they go through it like crazy, it just lasts a long time. And I don't know, it's just letting go of everything we thought was real. I used to think, it's crazy. Or, just don't focus on how everything gets paid for. It just gets paid for.
Yeah.
It's just really distacking from what we believe we have to do to survive in our world, because everything's changing. We really have to just let go of the chains and the conditioning of what we thought we had to do to get where we wanted to go. Let it go and just get into the river of flow and just trust that we will be provided for, and everything will come. And it's not about analyzing how it comes. It's just about gratitude and trust. And it does, life just unfolds beautifully when you're in that bubble, you called it. Well, yeah, it is. It's my world. Yeah. And, it's not like I'm isolated. I get out and about, but my world is always what's within me, a projection of my heart and mind and what I choose to place my awareness on. And, yeah, it really is just filled with, love, joy and peace. And, this is how we get the world we want by changing within us. And then, of course, it's projected outside of us.
Yeah.
And, with this abundance, it really does. I mean, it's got to be, see, this is the thing with I think people make they think they want a Ferrari, or they think they want a big house. And so they're focusing on that, and they think that will make them happy. But at the end of the day, it's not that will make them they want the feeling of happiness. Now, whether it comes with a Ferrari or whether it comes from that you can create it inside, see, it's not like you have to manifest the big ticket items to be happy. And so when you get in this bubble of just being happy with your life and being grateful for the small things and having enough to, having a roof over your head and food in the fridge and a peaceful life, and that's what's continually created. And, that's your security and your happiness. Yeah.
Miguel?
Yeah, there's some letting go. There's I don't know how different it is. You only know our own realities, but I know there is still some letting go for me around the you know, it's so deeply woven into society that you have to work hard and put effort in, and there's a lot of that stuff that's what it is to be a man, like, you know, almost to sacrifice yourself, and you have to work all these hours and blah 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 blah. And so yeah, there's been some letting go around that for me, and yeah, I just recently made the decision to let go of a little part-time youth job that I have, which just, my heart wasn't really in it anymore, you know, but it was that it was still a little bit of regular, steady income, you know, that was coming in, but it just became, no, I can't keep on doing this anymore. I'm not in flow. I'm not feeling that really love vibration when that's happening. And there's a higher calling, and it's around my writing and around the masculine, feminine work and so on, and empowering and inspiring people in that area. So yeah, you know, that it's a work in progress, but there's two questions that are really powerful for me that I repeat kind of a bit like a mantra, and I bring into my awareness. And one is, you know, what other magic is possible? Because there's just been so much magic in my life, you know, and it is that kind of gratitude, and it's like, wow, life is so magical, and it is also amazing, and yeah, the whole rich tapestry, whether it's the pain bits or whatever, you know, it's all beautiful, and it's all just makes this human experience so rich and so diverse.
Yeah.
And the other question is, you know, how do things get better than this? Because that is, you know, that's my experience as well, you know, that they just keep getting better and better. Whatever that may look like, you know, I know that everything's unfolding perfectly, and everything happens for my highest good. And there seems to be a quickening in that, you know, what I call a quickening, an acceleration, and the potential for that to move more swiftly. But I still have, you know, my egoic mind still gets his hackles up now and again, and goes like, you know, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Why are you doing that?
You know, Fiona McLennan, our sister in Australia, she said, what about the people who don't have safety, shelter, and food? I'm not putting myself in that category, and I'm not about to answer that question, all respect to Fiona, because that's a very, very deep kind of thing. I mean, I don't know that we can cover everybody. Everybody's not the same, but we are the same. So much of this is about our consciousness. But what I wanted to bring up is, along the lines of what her question is, along the lines of what y'all are commenting on, I'm over here in Sedona and put my balls to the wall to get here. There is a friend I've met here who's been on the same type of journey I have been for many years. And so we're both in the same situation. And we're both in a situation where we both have the ability to manifest when we need to. But we're also seeing this, you know, there's just a little bit of change, a little bit of coin in the wallet or the purse, and we're not freaking out about it. There seems to be some type of higher level intel, 5D plus intel, that is not a part of where we came from, that's speaking in terms of what we should do and which steps we should take. And I guess my question is, kind of two birds with one stone, is are either of you, we'll start with Karen, are you, over the last few weeks, and I know everybody gets their communication from the universe differently, but do you feel like you're getting more clear communication or understanding, or however you want to put it, or however you view that and experience that in your universe?
I've always had my guidance internally, even through meditation. I've never experienced it coming from an external source. So, you know, I just tune into my heart. If I'm in my head, I bring my focus down to my heart, and that is my guidance point. You know, I'm not on a personal level. I don't have you know, the connections with the galactic force at the moment that I'm aware of. I know I go there, you know, when I'm asleep, but as I am now on the planet in this state, I don't have any connections with them. I'm just me, a normal person, like connecting to my heart, and you know, it's never let me down. and it's got me from where I was to where I am today, and I'm in such a good place. So I'm sticking with my heart.
But I mean, with that method that you have, which is the same everybody else has, it just looks different. Do you feel that you've had more clarity, more power, more strength, more wisdom, a greater awareness over the last few weeks? Do you feel like it's building and increasing?
Not really. No, about the same as it has been.
That's
So.
good.
But it's just it's taken me to a new place. It's always sorry. Shush. Come here.
What about you, Miguel?
Well, one thing that I'm noticing is, I guess my guidance system is similar. It just kind of like an awareness, a sort of knowing just kind of comes up. And I tend to sort of like follow the clues, if you like. It feels a bit like, the Hansel and Gretel story where you're following the little pebbles and just seeing where they go. And it feels very much like I'm, at the edge. I came to the edge of the map a while ago, and there's nothing to follow. There's no paths to follow. It's just seeing what unfolds and what emerges in front of me. And then I guess, for that, I sort of look at the patterns and just see what's happening, where are the synchronicities, where are the little things that keep coming just to draw my attention to it. And I think that's a bit of what's been happening, is that there's a bit of a conflict between, there is this stronger bit that's saying, this is your path, and step deeper into this, and more faith and more trust and so on. Yeah. And the ego is going, whoa, I've got to put up a big fight here, to distract him from this shit. We're going to lose control here, if he keeps doing that. And so, in alignment with those patterns, just what's happened this morning, this has never happened before. I got out of bed at 4:30 in the morning to do an interview on a radio, with online radio station. And then I'm just sat here 10 minutes afterwards thinking, there's no way I'm going to go back to sleep now. And then you pop up and say, hey, do you want to do a radio? Do you want to come on? So I'm like, okay, that's worthy of note. There's probably waiting for the third one afterwards, when we hang up, I'll get a message saying, come on this show, Miguel, And I think, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think that is what I was getting at. Regardless of how our experience looks from our own perspective, things like that seem to be happening. You can call it synchronicities, but way beyond numbers, way beyond 1111, 4444. Synchronicities of meeting the right person, aligning with different people. I know I'm having that happen to me in Sedona, over the last few days. It's just like, it happened to me today. I met one friend, or we talked, we touched base. I touched base with Morgan, and this other friend in Sedona pops in my head. I call her, and then everything's in alignment. Everything one's saying, the other one's saying, and this one's saying, that one's saying. But I agree with you too, and I would throw this one back at Karen too, is that I'm hearing, this is your mission, your mission, keep walking forward in that faith and that trust and that courage and that love, and don't look back. And that's what I was getting at. For me, it is getting clearer and clearer and clearer. That's not to say that the last bits of the 3D is not, still trying to attach to me or whatever, but I feel this very strong magnetism, especially over the last 24 hours. Karen, are you feeling more and more clarity in terms of what you want and what you're doing and how that's all unfolding?
Oh, yeah, it's like I just don't have a choice, on this journey, and, there's no turning back. And, I just love it. I love the challenge of it. I love, I love the triggers. Every time a trigger comes up, I embrace it as, a new opportunity to choose love and go with it. I mean, what you were saying, Toddy, about, still aspects of the 3D honors, you've got to remember that, in our multidimensional selves, we could well have already experienced the event and be up in 5D, but we're down here back on Gaia because of what we spoke about earlier, this influx of people that are going to wake up after disclosure. We've got to be here where they are. Yeah. So we're all perfectly positioned where we are, and it doesn't matter how much spiritual development we've done or where we are in our journey. we're here exactly, you know, where we're meant to be, because our purpose to help the others, we've got to be where they are. No good us floating, going up in and living permanently in 5D when they're down here needing our help.
Absolutely. And that seems to be a very clear part of my mission on a personal level. And I think y'all as well, and a lot of our colleagues and friends and the people watching the show. Miguel, I know you've been busy. I know you took a little trip a few weeks ago. Do you have anything life-altering coming up? I mean, you don't have to get into details, but are you having to like let go of things such as the job you had with the youth? And are you seeing a pattern of that happening?
Yeah, it seems to be a constant process of letting go, you know, rather than adding to. There's an awful lot more of letting go, and maybe even sometimes letting go feels a bit like, you know, there's almost a bit of duality in it. There's something negative to be let go of, and I don't really try and entertain that sort of, you know, duality stuff of good and bad, and it all just is. So if there's letting go, a bit like the trees let go of the leaves in the autumn, like, you know, it's almost like it's totally effortless. The leaves just kind of like fall away. The tree thinks, right, I've got to push this leaf away, like, you know what I mean? I've got to let go of it. It just happens. So there's definitely a deepening of acceptance and just allowing it to unfold, I guess, really, which in a way goes so against all of a lot of the masculine stuff that we've been taught, you know, to fight for and work at. But yeah, the letting go of the youth job feels like, that's quite a big thing for me. But I just so know that it's right. I have so many words and so much writing that just wants to come through me, and I want to finish my third book, which has been hanging around for a little while. And I know it's been hanging around a little while because it hasn't been quite the right time. But I know that once the youth work is done, you know, that little job, then I'm going to have all that more time to, you know, to write and to start doing webinars and start trying to make myself a bit more accessible to be able to reach more people, you know, and have a greater impact.
Yeah.
And just going with the flow, really, and just seeing what unfolds and see what life presents, and being really grateful for whatever it is. It's a really beautiful place to be, you know, with no real no map, you know, I really don't know what's going to happen. And you know, moving forward a little bit, sort of June next year, my youngest son will have finished his education, and then he won't physically be coming to stay with me anymore, because he lives at his mom's most of the time. But he comes to me at the moment when he's at college. So when that happens, he won't be physically coming. So that means that, you know, on a physical level, my fathering role is kind of like done. You know, I don't need to have a space where he can come and stay anymore. So that means that I may well relocate. I'm feeling a bit of a pull towards Glastonbury at the moment. I might become a bit itinerant and not have, you know, anywhere, and just kind of like move around and do a bit of traveling. I don't know. It's, you know, there's this big blank piece of paper, like, you know, let's see what happens.
That's what I do. Is that itinerant? Doesn't that mean? Doesn't
Living
that
in
mean?
the now.
Doesn't that mean broke? Itinerant? Just kidding. I'm kidding.
I think it's just wandering, like, wandering. Rumi's words, you know, all who wander are not lost. Not Rumi, that's Lord of the Rings, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't know. I think that is Rumi.
It's living in the now, you know. It's our focus on trusting our journey, and you know, when we need to go somewhere, you know, we'll be provided for, and we'll have the directions and the guidance to go, and the means to just go. And you know, we don't need to know what we're going to do this time next year. We just know it's going to be in a good place. So it doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing. You know, we just go with it and enjoy the moment. Because as long as our mind's in the future, we're not focused on what we're doing now and, you know, what we're able to create in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah.
I have one last subject I want to make sure I hit, and that involves expanded skills and abilities. And I'm not going to go into a backdrop on it, but just in terms of things such as remote viewing and teleportation and bilocation at a clear, you know, a lot like Karen said a while ago. She knows when she goes into dream state, she's busy and she's traveling and things are happening. There's no conscious recollection, or there's a little conscious recollection. I know, like with me, sometimes it's a lot, sometimes I don't remember anything. Do you think, Karen, that we're going to be seeing these expanded abilities actually embodied within us and occurring? That's already happening.
God, I hope so.
Well, yeah. Well, I do too.
And you're in the same boat, Toddy. You know, you've got a lot of distance between America and Australia, and I do between even Australia and New Zealand. You know, if we could just teleport or bilocate, it would make things so much easier. And, you know, maybe that's why we're physically apart at this stage, because, you know, we need to focus on those skills and remember how to bring them in. So, yeah, look, you know, I'm practicing all I can, and, you know, maybe one day someone will get a surprise.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, let me ask you about this, Karen. Telepathy. Are you seeing an expansion of your own telepathy?
Yeah, I think on some level it's always been there. It's just listening to it, you know. Yeah, look, gosh, it's hard to say. It's not one I've really focused on. But obviously, the more you get to know someone, the more you sort of, you know, can get into their head and their heart, and so you don't have to physically speak or communicate in the old 3D manner. You know, a lot of it can come through heart energies. And, you know, I guess that's with anyone. You know, you can be sitting in a crowded room and you can communicate with people just through your heart. You know, we don't have to speak and write. And as it is now, you know, so much of what we want to express just can't be expressed in the old 3D ways, you know, through our writing so much and speech. So, yeah, heart communication is really important, and I think that's where the telepathy comes from, is through the heart, not so much through the mind.
Yeah. Miguel?
Because it's feeling,
Yeah, good answer.
Before I answer that, Todd, there's a question that I'd like to ask Karen. It kind of feels like this is kind of sort of like a good opportunity. You know, can I do that? I'll answer your question really briefly.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
I just wasn't sure how much time you had and stuff that we have. So yeah, telepathy and all that kind of stuff. Well, yeah, it's not something that I bring my awareness to a great deal, but I think there is I guess the more the mind gets quieter and stuff, the more we can hear the whisper of the voice of intuition and the kind of guidance and just trusting and kind of like, yeah, just moving with what feels right, even though sometimes the rational mind says, well, what on earth are you doing that for? Or that doesn't make sense, you know? And yeah, lots of kind of like, oh, I was just going to say that, or how did you know that, you know? And lots of, you know, when we're tuned in with people, and it's almost like we could just forget about language, really, you know, about speaking stuff, just getting really tuned in with feeling what's happening, what's present. Yeah. But my question, Todd, and it just feels like, you know, it's a great opportunity to ask as Karen is here, and we are kind of feel rather grand, you know, sort of like, okay, a divine feminine, divine masculine are here, or two divine masculine, shall we say, not forgetting you, Todd.
Yeah. I'm just internal. What is it called?
Lucky.
So the question being, you know, I guess I'm not quite sure how to word it, and I realise that this is probably going to bounce back to me as well. I'm not quite sure what will come, but just to ask Karen, you know, what would be your message to man? And I'm not even sure if man or the divine masculine. You know, what does woman want? You know, please. You know, I think that would be really. Yeah, I just think it would be a missed opportunity not to ask you that question. I would like to know for myself and for all the other men, all the women that are out there, you know.
Wow, that's beautiful. And that's such an important question. well, I can speak from personal perspective, okay? So, but I do use we, okay? We just want you to drop your defenses and come into your heart and feel, feel. It's such a beautiful experience that so many of you have been cut off from. And I know it takes time, and it's slowly. And, it's also for us feminine to be able to hold space for you, a space of safety for you to be able to do that. And that only comes from when we are there in a space of love and acceptance for whatever unfolds on your journey. So it's a two-part. We've got to play our role with holding that safe, non-judgmental space that you feel safe and free to come in and actually let down your walls, be vulnerable. There's nothing sexier than a man who's vulnerable. We don't need you to be,
really badass.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, to be able to express your feelings, how you genuinely feel, to be able to, it's all about feeling, because thinking is the head and feeling is the heart. So anything that you can feel is from your heart space. So, if you're expressing yourself, try and maybe change your words from I think this, and this to I feel this. And already you're dropping into your heart, and your expression will come in a different vibration. So I think it's just, it doesn't happen overnight. It's getting in touch, with feelings that you were denied through, human conditioning. And, but, we don't want anything more than love, genuine love. But that can only come from the heart. We don't want anything else. Well, I don't want anything else, because love is the only truth, the only thing that's real.
Yeah. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, I can really feel that. That's beautiful. And then it's extra beautiful because, I could sort of like do a really short answer and say ditto. It's really, that's really quite profound, just to really feel that and see that is what we want also, it is. And it's, it's that I have a sense that at some point that we are moving towards some kind of androgynous being, and that we're moving away. There's so much less division between the masculine and feminine, and increasingly I find when I'm talking about the inner masculine and feminine within a woman, or the inner masculine and feminine within a man, it's both the same thing, and so I often those two key elements are things that really come up for me, Karen. One is holding space. That when in my situation, when I hold space and when I am totally present in from a heart space of love with woman, she opens, and she, if there's grief or sadness that needs to come up, then that will come up first, and then there is the joy and the beauty and the connection and stuff comes as well, and and that second piece that is, woman, please come back to your heart. They say the greatest journey we will ever make is, from those few hands breadth from the head to the heart. And there has been a lot of, is the word masculinization or whatever, that there is, the women the same. There's so much head stuff, we've lived in a patriarchal mind head, place for too long. And it's like, just feel, I hear it so often, I'll just have a think about that. And I'm like, no, please don't think about it, because the mind, can't be trusted. There's so many filters and there's so much stuff, and it's such a tricky, slippery customer. The heart knows, just feel.
It's like the house of mirrors in the carnival. Yeah. And I guess
your feeling will come instantly. If you've got a question and you ask your intuition, your guidance, your whatever you ask, the first thing that comes in is your truth, your feeling from your heart. Because if you give it time, your mind needs those few seconds to create an answer. But the one that comes in instantaneously, that can't be created by the mind. That's your truth from the heart. That's your feeling. That's your You know, the vibration of love, 5 to 8 hertz. That's the heart chakra.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's also the frequency of truth.
Man.
You know, your heart won't let you down if you listen to it and you don't, you know, give your head time to get in the way.
See, my answer would be just be, I surrender. Just tell me what to do. That's how far.
Well, see, that's not necessarily.
I'm kidding.
You know.
I'm kidding. I'm just saying that for me, it took a long time, because he's talking about holding space. Holding space requires listening. Listening requires
presence.
Yeah, right. Being present. It requires shutting up and actually listening, which I've gotten really good at. You know, but it took a long time. So, you know, I really think that a lot of these men, me included, I think I've come some way, are really lost. And really, it's no fault to it. It's just the way it went down. And it's like a double whammy almost. Morgan says he thinks she blamed him and he blames himself, you know. But that's a deep subject. And I love this format with the divine feminine and divine masculine, maybe with a little bit more notice next time.
But you've got to remember, you know, we were all born into that conditioning, but that was our choice, because as I said at the beginning, we had to be born into that dense vibration so we could go through the journey and the experience to get to where we are now and where we will go. So then we can connect with people who, you know, are still in that dense vibration, and we can understand them. And how can we help someone if, you know, we haven't had that experience ourselves? If we were all born straight into love.
That's exactly
right.
You
know, we've been held back, and you know, we've survived.
And that actually goes back to the question at the beginning, or at least what our roles are. And you're right. We've had to go through all this stuff in order to understand it, so we can lead these people out of it. We're going to have to sign off. I've got to do a little conference, and I really appreciate you guys. I know it was in alignment. It was synchronistic, so I can't apologize. It just happened.
Perfect.
I actually posted it and said it's going to be a roundtable discussion, and then I thought, I'll see who I can find, and I immediately saw the both of you. I mean, immediately. I didn't message anyone else, so it was really cool. I really appreciate it. I'm honored that you'd share space with me tonight and everybody, and I wish you both a really good day.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Miguel.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. Thank you. Lots of love. Lots of love.
Yeah.
Y'all take care. I'll see you soon.
Bye. Okay. Bye.